After years of anticipation and build up and character beats and seasons after seasons, we are finally here. The end of the worlds, the end of the multiverse. We are finally here at Crisis on Infinite Earths. And wow, this this crossover was so good. Everything about this crossover was just amazing, and not just the cameos, just the overall feel of it gets you happy. So this is what I'm here to talk about: Crisis on Infinite Earths. Hey everyone, SW Nation here. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll post some more reviews or rankings on the Arrowverse. Without further ado, let's get into the review.
The multiverse. Every existence multiplied by possibility and spread out in infinite measure. Now there is a malevolent force at work, one driven by a singular goal: the destruction of all there is.
There's a wave of antimatter sweeping across this universe, destroying everything in its path. I brought you all to Earth 38 because this is where the Monitor wants you to make your stand.
Right, so we are going to need a bigger team.
You want some help?
The entire universe needs you.
Across space and time exist 7 heroes who can save the multiverse.
I'll find him. You are Clark Kent, right?
Bruce? Kate.
We need your help to stop this antimatter wave.
All right, then Flash.
Oliver! It is time! Has the planet been evacuated yet? Not entirely. Then it's not time!
One thing is certain. Everything we know, everything there is, and everything there ever was, is doomed.
That's how you get ready. That's how you get ready for a crossover. That is how you sell a crossover right there. That is exactly how you sell a crossover. Watching the trailer right before I watched the crossover just got me so hyped for this. This crossover was so fire, and I know like I might sound like I'm yelling. That's because I am. I was so happy when I found out about this. Like, I was not a big Arrowverse fan, and I never was a big Arrowverse fan. But this sold me. Actually, the show Arrow sold me, and then I got into Flash, and then Supergirl, and then DC Legends, and I find myself having more fun with DC Legends and Flash, and I have myself more interested in Arrow and Black Lightning, and Supergirl is a show that I'll watch on the side, and it's still pretty cool too. But this crossover as itself was so good. The cameos were amazing, and it's so great how they could get all these cameos woven into this one big crossover, this one 5-part, 5-hour movie. That brings us into the good. I feel like the good about this crossover is the same thing that I keep going back to: the cameos. When I rewatch this crossover, that's the only thing I fast forward to, are the cameos, because mainly everything else about this crossover, it's not at all great, but it is very good. And I just find myself more interested watching the cameos, like seeing Titans, seeing the 1989 Batman, seeing the 1966 Robin, Green Lantern, Doom Patrol, just everyone. I'm just seeing everyone in this sold me on this, because Marvel has their own universe now, and then they're going to even expand to the smaller screens, but nobody's giving credit to DC that they've already done this. They've already had their movies and their TV shows woven together, and they deserve some credit for that. They deserve to be happy with their property, because they've done something that Marvel didn't even do. Marvel doesn't like to take risks anymore. Okay, we have Eternals coming out, but I feel like that's the only risk that they're gonna take because they're trying to play it safe. Mainly because they're owned by Disney, and Disney has a brand, and they want their name to be out there. But what DC and CW and the DC Universe streaming platform does is that they take these risks and that they do things and then they push them through the envelope to make them superhero films. That's why Joker was so good. That's why Arrow was so good. That's why Doom Patrol is so good. They've taken these stories and put them all together and they make something completely great. And that's basically what Crisis on Infinite Earths is. It's not the Avengers. It's not Avengers Infinity War. It's not even Avengers Endgame. But what it is the sixth annual CW crossover event that fans have been waiting for. We have been waiting to see Tom Welling come back as Clark Kent. We have been waiting to see the Titans on the CW. We have been waiting to see Green Lantern on the small screen. We have been waiting to see everything that Crisis on Infinite Earths did here. And they deserve some credit for that. They deserve all the awards, the acclamates, everything. They deserve everything for this crossover. But the cameos, they're okay, but there's not that much story. So that brings us into the bad. And I think the biggest thing here that comes to mind is the anti monitor and the story. The story is so convoluted, is not good, is all over the place. And the Paragon storyline had a great start, but I felt like the characters that they picked for Paragons were not at all what I were expecting. And really, I wish that the Paragons were Green Arrow, the Flash, the White Canary, Batwoman, Black Lightning, Superman, and Supergirl. And I think that's seven, right? So I wish that those were the paragons of the help stop this crisis because yes, their shows were the groundbreaking, the basically the foundation for Crisis on Infinite Earths. Without Arrow, we wouldn't have the Flash. Without Flash, we would not have um DC Legends. Without DC Legends, we wouldn't have Batwoman and Black Lightning. Supergirl was already at CBS, but she came over to CW. So without those shows, we would not have a Crisis on Infinite Earths. So I felt like that should be a love letter to the shows in general, but they did not do that. The Anti Monitor really had no motive. He had no motivations, and I started thinking like, was the Anti Monitor just the Monitor? But an evil clone of him, or is the Monitor dead now? And I think that's what they were going for. I think the Monitor did die in Crisis on Infinite Earths, and the Anti Monitor was put in first place and right up in front. But what the synopsis was for part four was that they were going to show a little bit more backstory on the anti-monitor and the monitor, and it would have been really cool to see them. Maybe they were twins. What if they were twins, just like how the Grandmaster and the Collector are? What if they were twins, celestial beings, and one recruited these heroes to stop the crisis, to stop his twin brother, to help him stop his twin brother. And I thought that's what they was going for here, and it would have made more sense if they would have brought the characters that I previously named as paragons into the film. But that did not happen, and the way the story is structured is that it's very simple. The Etymonitor brings up the seven heroes, the paragons, and really what he does is that he gets them ready to stop the crisis that is coming. So just like the title says, Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's really what this crossover is. It's just Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's nothing more, nothing less. And another bad thing about this is the cameos. The cameos itself are great. They bringing in these characters like the Titans, Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, Stargirl, even though she's getting her own show, Stargirl and Tom Welling, bringing those actors and those characters into this, I loved it. I loved that, and that's probably why I would watch this more than Elseworlds, because Elseworlds is a fun teaser for Crisis on Infinite Earths. And I would prefer, like, if you're looking for a fun Arrowverse time, I would prefer Elseworlds to anyone that's a fan of the Arrowverse, or just in general, you're just looking for a fun crossover. But Crisis on Infinite Earths did something that I thought was better than Elseworlds, and that was the cameos. And yeah, the cameos were great. The cameos were amazing. But I felt like they spent more time getting the cameos and they sacrificed the story altogether. Just to say, hey, look, we have Green Lantern, or just to say, hey, look, Doom Patrol, Titans, Tom Welling is back. And it would have made the crossover so much better if Tom Welling would have suited up as Superman. That would have made the crossover so much better. Or they're saying, hey, look, Kevin Conroy. That's what CW, DC, and Warner Brothers wanted. That is what they wanted. They wanted a full story, endgame like crossover, bringing in all these different CW shows or CBS shows, bringing them all into this crossover, smushing them together to make the biggest crossover that we've ever seen. And honestly, I think they succeeded in that. The crossovers were great. They were amazing. I felt like cameos, the cameos should have the cameos they should have had a lot more to do. I lost the word there, but they should have had a lot more to do. Like Titans, they would have did some work. Doom Patrol, I would like to see them in the Arrowverse doing some work. Um, I wish they had a bigger climactic battle. The battle was not at all that climactic. It was not at all big. It was not to the scale of Endgame. And I understand the CW does not have a big budget for the Arrowverse. They got like 3 million per episode. But if they can make the Anti-Monitor and his shadow demons come up out of nowhere, multiple shadow demons coming, if they can make Flash have super speed and he's just running all over the place, and Supergirl, if they can make that CG look good, they can put Titans, Tom Welling Superman flying around, Kingdom Come Superman flying around, Kevin Conroy in a bat suit flying around or running around. We could have had different Flashes, Earth 90 Flash. I would have loved to see Diggle turn into Green Lantern. It's just so much that they could have done in this crossover that they could not that they chose not to do, just for the sake of getting cameos in here. They sacrificed the story. The villain was not at all good. The Monitor was wasted. Black Lightning was wasted. What else? The Shadow Demons were a really bad army. All they one punch, they're poof, they're gone. So overall, crossover was good, pushing to the great area. For reasons that I've already explained, that's why it's sitting only at the good area, but it's pushing up to the great. I will give this an A minus and a 9.2 out of 10. If you're an Arrowverse fan, and if you've seen every episode of the Arrowverse, you would love this crossover. This crossover will be satisfying to you. But if you're just someone that happens to come upon Crisis on Infinite Earths just because of the hype, you might not like it that very much, because you probably wouldn't get what's going on. You probably wouldn't understand what's going on. But all in all, great crossover. My bad. Good crossover, actually. Like this video, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.